I was going to show y'all this the other day, but I'm glad that I saved it because a lot of people still don't believe in what I just said. A lot of people still, let's just watch it.
Trust the science. That's what
Trust the science, they
told the American people. But did he? A new bombshell report reveals he ignored 3 of the 4 medical experts he sought counsel from in 2021 when COVID policy was crafted. While his handpicked team concluded that a prior COVID-19 infection should qualify as one of the 2 doses of the mRNA vaccine, Biden's administration disagreed.
The administration's federal mandate impacted millions of people, many of whom lost their jobs for not adhering to that policy. Here to elaborate on her reporting is Emily Kopp, investigative reporter with the Daily Caller News Foundation. Welcome, Emily.
Good morning.
So I just want to start off with what we alluded to in the introduction there, because my own feeling is anytime COVID comes up, it's very easy for things to get sort of overly generalized. So correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand your story, it's about this board or panel of 4 scientists who were brought together by the Biden administration in late 2021. At issue was a mandate for the federal workforce, but the disagreement really was whether prior infection should count as equivalent to one of the 2 mRNA shots, correct?
Yeah, so let's dig into the specifics. So I wrote this story to highlight a chapter in pandemic history that I don't think millions of people are aware of. It involves this 30-minute Zoom meeting that shaped the livelihoods of millions of Americans. The Biden administration was implementing these OSHA emergency temporary standards, vaccine mandates, in other words, that applied to large private employers, federal agencies and contractors, health providers accepting Medicare and Medicaid funding. And these vaccine mandates were mimicked by many large county and municipal governments as well. And so altogether, these policies affected more than 100 million Americans. So in October 2021, top Biden health officials, including former CDC Director Rochelle Walensky and Chief Scientific Advisor Anthony Fauci, privately met with 4 immunology and vaccinology experts. These experts are familiar to many of us because they were in the press a lot during the height of the pandemic. Paul Offit, Michael Osterholm, Peter Hotez, and Akiko Iwasaki. The administration posed a question to these experts: should prior immunity be counted when implementing vaccine mandates? Should people who have recovered from a prior infection be exempted from the requirement to get?
I want y'all to hear what she says. Should people that already had COVID, should that be considered as at least making up for that first round of shots?
These experts, should prior immunity be counted when implementing vaccine mandates? Should people who have recovered from a prior infection be exempted from the requirement to get vaccinated or lose their jobs? News of this meeting has trickled out in bits and pieces over the years, thanks largely to the Epoch Times, which obtained information about it via FOIA. What hasn't been previously reported is that the majority of these scientific experts handpicked indeed prior immunity should be credited under the vaccine mandates. There was a 3-1 split in favor of prior infection counting in some capacity. And what you touched upon is that 2 of the experts said that while hybrid immunity is best, an infection should be treated as equivalent to 1 dose of the 2-dose mRNA regimens.
So I heard 3-1. So I'm not really trying to have this conversation to bash my bro Biden, Uncle Biden. Not trying to do that at all. Honestly, I don't even know if, let's not go down that. Not trying to bash Biden at all. The reason why I'm playing this and what sticks out to me is that what would motivate a sitting president, a party to push it during a time where people are so scared? Like, yeah, it's hard for us to really go back to how things were. I'm being honest. I was scared. Now, I still stood on not allowing my fear to. Y'all know what it is. It's Dak from the OG Network. Man, I just want to thank y'all. That's right, to thank y'all for all of your tremendous support over the years, whether you've been rocking with us from the beginning or maybe this is the first show that you're checking out on the network. We want to thank you nonetheless. And we have an ask, all right? We have a goal of reaching 20,000 subscribers by the end of March. That's right, 20K by the end of March. It's not a real goal unless you put a date on it. And with that, we need your help. So we ask that if you are enjoying the content that you like, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're feeling real generous, maybe share with some friends and family. All right, I'll let y'all go. And once again, thank you for your continued support. And we look forward to growing with y'all. See y'all soon. Ew.
Compromise what I thought was a logical decision for me, just for me. I still was scared. I mean, when you see you're scared, even if you're not scared of the actual disease, virus, then you had to be scared just looking at how much of a fool people were acting, the crime that people were getting away with, what was happening. You added on the whole George Floyd thing. Like it, I was nervous. You got people scrambling, running out of toilet paper. Like that's the last thing on earth you need if something's really about to hit the fan. It was crazy to see how people reacted. Like that was the scariest thing to me. The fact that people could just be manipulated and just controlled to just lose it. Like people that were just super rational today, tomorrow behaving with no logic, like just because they're scared. So for me, it's like, damn, that would have been, it would seem to me that if I was Biden, that could have been something that was used to calm the fears of a lot of people. To say like, hey, if you got it, the positive thing about it, if you got it and you recovered from it, that's going to be as good as at least the first shot. It's going to give you some type of immunity. You heard what the experts, voted on. It was 3-1. So if that's the case, why would they not want that? Why would they not want to ease our fear, ease our stress? It seems like when it comes to 2020 and COVID and the vaccines, yeah, we can argue all day about whether or not we agree with vaccines, but there's other things that I think that we miss when we just focus on that conversation, like whether you agree with them or not. It's the fact of how the government manipulated us and played a role and took advantage of us being as fearful, as scared, and as unhealthy as we are, to the point where we got even more scared. But it's like, why? Why were they not telling us to go take vitamin C? Why were they telling us to stay in the house when the majority of, I think, experts would agree on that sunlight is probably one of the best things that you could have when you're having a sickness? You go to a lot of countries and their hospitals don't look like our hospitals. I was just talking to my homegirl. She's German. And she was saying, like, when you get sick in Germany, they have these things which are basically like saunas and spas with a whole bunch of sunlight. I saw an Instagram post. I don't know if it's real, but I saw an Instagram post. They were talking about, I don't think it was Italy. I forget where it was, but they said when you get sick here, the doctors tell you to just jump in the ocean. So we knew that there's a whole bunch of natural things that we could be doing at least to hold us over even before the vaccine came out. But it just didn't seem like they were trying to prioritize or put out our fears a little bit. It just seemed like they were trying to stoke our fears more than anything else. So when I asked, I'm literally just asking my question as to what would drive them to want to do this? The government that's supposed to be looking out for us, the Democratic Party that's supposed to be the party of the people. I just asked these questions. Let me see what Steve wrote. They know that the majority of citizens don't make the time to read source documentation. They believe whatever their trusted talking heads say and spread the narrative with an arrogant conviction. I agree. It's scary. We'll listen to another minute of this. We're going to wrap it up right after that, though. Sorry.
So that's absolutely correct. The Biden administration apparently overruled this advice and required that even individuals with a prior infection receive both doses. One of the experts present at the October meeting told me that he thought it was simply because it was simpler logistically that way. But when asked about this policy in the media and when pressed by congressional Republicans at the time, that's not what Walensky and Fauci said. They didn't talk about logistical issues. They talked about hybrid immunity being preferred while sidestepping the question of whether prior immunity alone or prior immunity in a single shot might be sufficient for many Americans.
And maybe, all right, so we're going to wrap this up. Because it's already 11. I can't keep y'all on any longer. But I think that may actually lead to a segue where I'm going to make it a segue. We're going to connect some dots. Speaking of connect, I'm gonna make a joke about the first video. I don't know how many of y'all here saw the first video with the white women supporting black women, but yeah, we're gonna connect these dots. And so I'm reading this book, The Alchemist, dope book. What's the young man's name? I think it's Santiago. Hold on. I want to make sure I say the good. Yeah, Santiago. So Santiago's going on a journey. I don't want to give y'all too much, but I just want to highlight something that was, or just read a part of the end of the first chapter. I guess they're chapters, parts. And I think it says a lot about, even from a standpoint of when we get sick, how we feel about ourselves, how we see ourselves, how we visualize ourselves. And I actually got a text from Mama Lay earlier that I said, this reminds me of a few different things. One in particular that Jordan Peterson said, and I think she was talking about your, what did she write? About your mission. I'm sorry, not your mission. Make sure whatever you're thinking is aligned with your desires. Whatever you're thinking, our thoughts. I've read certain books where they're talking about how you can literally heal yourself just by how you think, if you believe it. If you don't believe it, I mean, we've all heard the studies where they use the placebos, and the placebos, if you're familiar with those, whatever. All right, let me just read the quote. As he mused about these things, he realized that he had to choose. Hold on, let me maybe go a little bit earlier. It hurt him a bit to think about it, but he had never seen one like it before. As he mused about these things, he realized that he had to choose between thinking of himself as the poor victim of a thief and as an adventurer in his quest of his treasure. So let me read that again. Dude just got robbed. He got finessed. Maybe. But now he's figuring out, while he's on this journey, this tough journey that he's traveling, whether he's going to sulk and see himself as the guy that just got taken advantage of, being the poor victim of a thief, or somebody that is just on an adventure. And that's just one part of the journey. So as he mused about these things, he realized that he had to choose between thinking of himself as the poor victim of the thief and as an adventurer in quest of his treasure. I'm an adventurer looking for treasure, he said to himself. It's all about perspective. And earlier in this book, there was an emphasis on us choosing. We choose. Perspective is going to tell us everything. We see how perspective plays a role in how we look at politics, how we look at religion, how we communicate with each other. All of these different areas, how successful we become, the lack of success that we may have, all of these things are based on perspective, how we see ourselves. When we're in a challenging situation, do we look at it as this is happening to me? Or do we look at it as this is happening for me to learn something that I clearly haven't learned? So therefore, the next time that I'm in this type of situation, or the things that I'm going to learn by getting these lessons to eventually overcome this situation, that's what's going to help me climb and get to that next level as I continue to level up. So it's all about perspective. How are we going to see ourselves? Are we going to see ourselves as victims, or are we going to see ourselves as people that have a world of opportunities that we are consistently attracting? And every single loss, we're turning that to a lesson. And every single win, we're just going to use that motivation, inspiration as a stepping stool to the next chapter, the next more challenging obstacle. We get to decide. We get to decide whether we believe that we are godly, whether we believe that we are peasants, whether we believe that we're kings and queens, whatever it is in our minds. That's what's going to project outward, and in turn create energy coming back our way that aligns with those outward projections. It's just like a radio signal. We're putting out different signals. So when we land on the right signal based on the energy that we're putting out, that's the opportunity that's going to be there, and we have to take advantage and capitalize on it when it comes. So how we see ourselves, very important. So maybe as we do this 45 seconds at the end of every show, the most important 45 seconds, as we always say, maybe that's something to think about. Maybe we should think about, how do we see ourselves? Are we champions that just haven't got crowned yet? Or are we just are we just what we are? We're just a victim of our circumstance. Or are we going to be a product of our environment? And based on being a product of that, we're going to use that to then get to a better environment, to get to a better space, or are we just going to be stuck in that same environment that we were in? It's just something for us to think about. So close your eyes, 45 seconds. Y'all know what we set out every week to do on Sunday and Monday to make this our greatest week ever. But I'm going to ask y'all to focus more specifically on how do we see ourselves? And I'm actually going to, normally I would say close your eyes, but when I was in the sauna yesterday, I was having a conversation about, I was saying at the end of every show, we do 45 seconds. And when I did it on Monday, I don't know if you guys remember, but I said like, yo, I had so much noise, I had to do it again. Like I couldn't really lock in the way that I wanted to. And she said that sometimes you should try doing your meditation with your eyes open. Experience all your senses. Feel it as if it's already happening to you. See it, taste it, smell it, feel it, all these different things. So I'm going to keep my eyes open. I'm probably going to be smiling. Don't take it weird. I'm just still going to be seeing some amazing visions as I'm deciding what my perspective is going to be, not only for myself, but for the energy that I put out and the energy and opportunities that I attract back coming my way. So 45 seconds, open your eyes, close your eyes, whatever it is that you need, but just really challenge yourself to think about, you know, how do you see yourself? How do you see yourself? And you don't have to empower and say like, oh, I see myself as great. Just be honest with yourself, because once you're honest with yourself, then we could always make adjustments afterwards. But the whole faking it till we make it, that's not what this right here is for. But be honest with yourself. And then maybe towards the second half, then I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but see how being honest with yourself, who you are now, see what that can turn into and who you need to turn into in order to attract the opportunities and the desires that you have for the future. So 45 seconds starting right now. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Yo, I'm not going to lie. That one, I don't know whether because it was at night, but that one got a little heavy, especially with the eyes open. I'm like, dang, I thought that would be a little lighter, but yeah. And mine went a little bit all over the place. Seeing myself as a father, a husband, son, you know, all these different roles that I want to be successful at. So that was dope. So y'all know what we do. Shout out to my favorite professor ever, Dr. Michelle King. Another engaging dialogue. Steve and I tune in every chance we get. It's our date night. Y'all better not be listening to this show on y'all date night. Y'all better not. Y'all can catch a clip later. No, it is greatly appreciated. Trust me. I appreciate y'all. Y'all gonna have to tap in and maybe we got to do some camming up together or something like that. We'll figure it out. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Y'all know what it is. And y'all know we come here to do elevate on purpose, both from an intentional standpoint, raising our standards to become the best leaders we can become, to achieve the goals that we set out based on our desires. That's just what we're working on. We're all work in progress, and our perspective is going to determine a lot of our outcomes. So let's just make sure that we're being very careful with that, and we're protecting that energy and protecting that perspective. Strength and honor, onward and upward. Y'all know, get to that bag. Whatever that means for you, that's what you get to. Whatever those little things that you're going to have to do throughout the week to align with those desires, to design with you achieving that purposeful abundance, to align with that trajectory of getting there as fast and efficient as possible, or taking whatever journey you decide. That's what I mean, getting to the bag. That's for you to decide. The things that I concentrate on: peace, love, happiness, health, wealth, and everything we do. Integrity. On that note, every night is date night. See, That's how you get an amazing woman and are in an amazing relationship with Professor King. Every night is date night. So appreciate that. Shy, you know what it is. I'll see y'all soon. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Sorry for keeping y'all on so late. See y'all on Friday. Ew.